Well, in a no-deal scenario, we automatically become a third country under EU law, and that means we'll be operating on World Trade Organization standards. Now, the World Trade Organization rules do not, in the main, cover services. So that means what immediately falls in the importation of services from the European Union is that those imported services must automatically comply with UK law. Now, as it so happens, UK law is not going to change in the short and medium term. So, with regard to the importation of services from France and Germany, there should be no immediate problem. With regard to other businesses, those businesses are already covered by the EU Services Directive. Now, because rules with regard to the importation of services will not change in the UK until Parliament decides so in the future, there should be no immediate problem on the importation of services from the EU. What is important, though, is the issue of professional qualifications and the mutual recognition of them. Currently, there is no agreement to mutually recognise the qualifications of lawyers and accountants and other professionals.
So in a no-deal Brexit scenario, the UK Parliament has already voted that the UK will not be part of the EU VAT system. So the EU VAT system at current is the overarching legislation for the UK VAT system, and the VAT system is derived from that. The UK law will implement VAT legislation at the date of Brexit, but obviously going forward we will expect deviations between the UK law and the EU law. One of the biggest concerns is around regulatory concerns and restrictions. So it's not yet clear whether the UK will restrict EU businesses selling services into the UK from a regulatory point of view rather than a VAT legal point of view. So this is something that does need to be considered by UK businesses importing services. One of the key drivers for change is looking at corporate structures and whether any changes are required as a result of receiving services from EU suppliers. So for example, does your current corporate structure allow you to carry on doing what you are doing? So does this allow you to carry on doing what you are doing both from a regulatory and a commercial perspective? As a customer, can you apply a bit of pressure on EU suppliers to deal with you direct in the UK rather than the supplier insisting they will only deal with an EU entity, for example? We would advise any UK businesses importing services to map out supply chains and to really look at the flows both from a legal and a commercial perspective. Understand any regulatory position and any commercial positions that may change as a result of Brexit, where you are receiving services, and to plan and implement any backup or contingent plans. We'd also advise any UK businesses to enter into any commercial negotiations with suppliers now where they think they will be impacted by Brexit. If an EU branch or company is being set up to cope with the demands of Brexit, it's important to establish the roles of both that EU entity and the UK entity and to make it clear what those roles of each individual business is. Also, we would advise people to monitor the developments of Brexit, to be in regular contact with business advisors, also any other resources, and to prepare for any contingency plans or any backup plans. My final bit of advice for UK businesses is to start looking at implementing any no remorse actions. So no remorse actions are some key points that UK businesses can consider now, relatively low cost, relatively easy to implement, but may save a bit of time the closer we get to Brexit. So for example, a no remorse action would be considering opening an overseas bank account in an EU country if you have a presence there or think you may need a registration there going forward. A further no remorse action would be to consider the impact on any EU nationals that you have in your workforce and offering them any support.
Clearly, a lot of businesses are members of the Chambers of Commerce and trade associations, and that would be a port of call. But most businesses will get their advice from their lawyers, their bankers and their accountants. That is the first port of call. Some lawyers, some accountants will provide complementary services in order to navigate Brexit and make your business Brexit-proof. But first to your advisors, second to your trade associations, the better to influence government.
There are a number of resources available to UK businesses for any guidance or support on Brexit. So the first and most obvious is HMRC. HMRC business organisations, business support organisations have a wealth of resources online, running seminars and webinars. Another source of information would be for professional advisors. Most professional advisors are also running seminars, webinars and keeping businesses up to date on Brexit. In addition, there are a number of online resources available externally, such as the Business Brexit Health Check, which is offered by the Chamber itself.